Mentzendorff. I viewed this building earlier on my walkabout. I think it's the Mentzendorff House. No way that pronunciation. Pretty light glass windows. So what we see left of graphics are the remains of the original. And you can see it's a kind of a Greek or a Roman motif. And then the pretty ceilings. And then that's what was restored. Here was the grand kitchen. Interesting that it's just off of the entrance, one room. But it's also interesting to realize that they designed it so that it would move the air up out of the top of the... Whether all of this is original or not, I don't know. I imagine the stove probably is. Rather modest, considering other places that we've seen. We're in another room. No idea what it would have been used for. But notice these ringed stones give access below the floor for something. And again, with a house of someone important in a trade center, we don't know what each was used for, but this room might well have been a place for the man to meet those who were bringing trade goods here. These were kind of like a fridge, so I don't know whether they put ice down there. They couldn't have done it except in the winter, but down in the cooling area. That's interesting. Next to the front door, if I'm interpreting it correctly. There's an entrance to the downstairs. Now, this would have folded down to close all of this off, I guess. Kind of like I think my uncle's store was like. Those staircases were very much used in the day. These are very narrow, steep houses. We are down in the basement. And notice this artifact here. Would it have been something that held a sign on the outside of the building? Has that look about it. You can see other rooms going back elsewhere. And these are arched windows. The design, how the wall slopes inward to the door, then rises up straight, and then it's an arch. Now, was this carved out of stone? Was it built of brick? Did they have to excavate for these basements? And was that some kind of an air hatch? I would guess. Now notice at some point in the time they moved water in here. Measures, devices. An abacus, interesting. Held pens or something of that nature. There's a little hidden key place right there. A spiral staircase like we saw earlier in the pharmacy. Well, this was not painted wood, but was original stained and oiled. This is the top of our stove. And that would have been probably beautiful wood before it was painted. In terms of these upper rooms, again, you can see more of just the fragile remains, probably depicting, as is usually the case, scenes from either history or the community. This is probably where the family lived versus downstairs. But imagine everybody, young and old, had to climb those stairs. Here, perhaps a common room, like a living room or a great room. And a niche for that clock, it appears, indicating perhaps slaves, fantasized scenes of the elite, perhaps the best preserved panel. And that style seems to be Pontillus, that's it. Almost a Degas, if I'm correct. Even a Van Gogh idea, technique. Expensive inlaid wood. Here laid out as an office. What it actually was, who knows. But in the day, these floors would have been tight, I would imagine. Whether this was representative of a possible or an actual or a fanciful scene in Riga. Interesting small desk. I think it's an after effect, later innovation of covering up the heat radiators, that the glass is not the clean, pure glass that we have today, but that might have been his view, was his view, from what would have been perhaps an important corner. This room has that circular hole filled in with glass now. Is it for air infiltration? This would have been a pretty airy room, maybe too hot in the summer. But I wonder what that motif suggests. Was this the ladies' room somehow? Climb another flight of stairs. Presumably bedrooms and so forth were up here. It's hard to estimate the richness of this stairway today, being painted as it is. But these super heavy beams. This is some artwork that's traditional in both Lithuania apparently and Latvia. This common area might have been the bedrooms for the family. We have a closed room. Notice large windows for lots of air. And again, this painted treatment of the beams and the ceilings. And then you would enter into this room. Looks far more elegant than a bedroom, doesn't it? Maybe this was the family common room, for lack of a better term. And yet maybe bedrooms off to the side of an antique gaming table. Looks like it could be opened up further too, to accommodate more players. Bedroom or what? What does the curtain hide? Maybe just a blank wall. There is a building to the side of us now. Was this the man's study? Did he climb all the way up here every day? These were probably the condition of it before it was restored. Remember, 28 years ago, the communists still controlled this area. Wonder what went on in the center of that block. It's a tea set or a water set, doesn't say. This, of course, laid out as a bedroom. My guess is these were bedrooms. But you had to be a young, virile family to use this house. Small version of the Bible. Poetry book. We're going to go a little bit higher up. Apparently is an adjoining house, so there was a space here for air and light. And there's that center courtyard. Been an area that the man used for storage in the classic manner. There are the large double doors that you would have hauled stuff up into here from. Interesting to look at the massive wood beams that support this building and others like it that we see. Notice there, they're double teamed. But then this is a country of vast forests. Another exit, not the one that we took. There's the one that we took. So this is probably the main commercial entry, unless this is another building that they just utilized for this purpose. Not though, because I think those are some of the doors that I saw that were closed to me. So this may have been an adjunct building.